Hello, this is E.B. Smalley, and I wanted to make a YouTube channel where I discuss NFL draft prospects. I want to start by doing 10 draft picks, my top 10 quarterbacks in this upcoming NFL draft. That's what I want to start with, and hopefully I can grow the channel and be able to make it into something that people would actually want to watch and maybe, make some money off this eventually, maybe. That would be pretty awesome. So today I want to talk about Joe Burrow. He is my number one quarterback in the 2020 NFL Draft. He is the Heisman from this year. He won the national championship. If you don't know who he is, then you've been living under a rock for the last year in the football world. I'd like to start by talking about some of his strengths. Something that I appreciate about Joe Burrow is his accuracy. It's probably one of his biggest strengths. His ball placement is exceptional. He leads receivers into the ball, away from coverage, away from defenders. He is accurate on all levels of the field. Another thing that I appreciate about Joe Burrow is his pocket presence. He moves well, even though he is not one of the more athletic quarterbacks in this draft class. He moves well in the pocket, stands tall, delivers throws when he's under pressure, and his footwork is good, along with his mechanics are smooth. They're by the book, and he's able to use different arm slots depending on what's needed in that particular case. He has good size too. He's 6'4", 216. He could stand to gain a little bit of weight, but I think he's gonna survive in the NFL. That's plenty enough for his frame. Another thing, I think it might be his biggest pro or strength is his field vision. He reads the field at an extremely high level for a college quarterback. He does it at an NFL level. Pre-snap, he recognizes coverages. He's very high. He has a very high football IQ. And you can tell by the way that he plays that he's prepared really hard and that he really has a passion for greatness, which leads me into something that I think is one of the important things if you're looking for a quarterback to be your franchise quarterback, your QB1, whatever you want to call it, is leadership and poise under pressure. These are things that are important. Joe Burrow seems to be an excellent leader. His receivers and his team seem to respect him. They seem to want to play for him. He rallied them this year, put them through a very tough schedule. Super tough. There were so many top 10 opponents that they beat this year. It's insane what they did. It's kind of a record year. He put up 60 touchdowns against some steep opponents, but he's really an Iron Man. He's gone through a lot when you think about it. He walked on at Ohio State, and he wasn't going to start there, and so he transferred to LSU. He elevated that program, as we've already talked about, and he ended up winning a national championship. And it's amazing, but I think it kind of where it all started from where I noticed was actually the year before. A lot of people say that he's a one-year wonder, that he's only played good for 1 year, but the year before this year, what really stood out to me was his game against UCF. He was hit really hard as he threw. No, he was hit after he threw a pick really hard as he was trying to run down a defender, kind of blindsided, and then the defender spat on him. Disrespectful. And what did Joe Burrow do? But he turned around and he threw for 394 yards and 4 touchdowns against these guys. He just demolished them. He did not even care. He had something to prove. And I think that shows a lot about Joe Burrow's character, who he is. He rises above adversity. And he keeps fighting. And there's so many ups and downs in an NFL season that it's really something that can't be understated as a trait. His mental toughness. He is a complete prospect in a lot of ways. If you want to nitpick on weaknesses that he might have, you could say arm strength, I guess. I mean, he definitely does not have a weak arm as far as NFL terms. He is actually, very average, and that's the worst thing you can say about him, is that his arm strength is average. And it's plenty strong for the NFL, and he's not going to be Aaron Rodgers or Patrick Mahomes doing these crazy throws, but he's very cerebral, and I think he could be the best. I think he's the best QB prospect in this draft, and I think his floor is Andy Dalton. I know that doesn't sound great, but Andy Dalton isn't a terrible quarterback. He's not good by any means, but he's survived in the NFL for almost a decade, which is pretty good. That's better than most. But ceiling, I could see him being like Tom Brady, the way he approaches the game and his mental toughness, not being the fastest, the strongest, any of those things, but the way he prepares, the way he reads a defense, the pre-snap, the post-snap, what he's doing is, it's impressive. It's NFL level, and he is a bit older. That's another weakness that you could say that Joe Burrow has, is he's 24 already, a senior in college. But more than likely, he's going to go number 1 overall to the Bengals. If not number 1 overall to the Bengals, probably number 1 overall to somebody who trades up to get that pick from the Bengals. Maybe the Dolphins. I don't know for sure, but he's basically a can't-miss prospect, if you ask me. Another NFL comparison is Tony Romo. I think he's very similar to Tony Romo. But that's all I had to say about Joe Burrow. Thanks for listening to me discuss that today. And please tune in and subscribe. And more videos will be coming. And I'll go through the rest of the top 10. Joe Burrow's number 1. And I hope you guys have a good one.